Okay. So last class we seen two examples. One example, and there is a single reaction, and we expressed the relation between the stoichiometric um, coordinates or reaction coordinates or extent of reaction with mole fraction. So this is the relation, and one example that methane, steam reforming of methane for the production of hydrogen example considered, and you successfully represented mole fraction of each component with respect to the uh, extent of reaction. In another example, that is water dissociation reaction, you have calculated how much amount of water decomposed. That means the fractional decomposition of water. Also, you expressed in terms of extent of reaction. Okay. So now let us see multi-reaction stoichiometry. If we have more than one reaction, then how can we represent? That means how we express the relation between mole fraction or equilibrium composition with the extent of reaction. In case of a multiple reaction, we have to designate two suffixes. One is the stoichiometric coefficient will be designated as two suffix. One suffix is the species and the second suffix is the reaction number. So first suffix I will represent species like H2O, CH4, CO2, etc. And J will represent the reaction number, whether they are appearing the reaction 1 or reaction 2, reaction 3 like this. So you can have a matrix of I number of species and J number of reactions. And all else same, just we have to replace new I with new ij. If you see your previous example, here, that is instead of new I for the single reaction, in multiple reaction we write new ij. Everything else same, just D and I is summation of J and over new ij and D epsilon J. So J is the reaction number. Similarly, all the things like your number of moles after progress of some reaction and initial number of moles, how they are relating. Number of moles after progression of reaction is equal to initial number of moles. That is again number of moles of individual component I is relating to NIO summation of J. J is the jth reaction and new Ij epsilon J. Similarly, all the quantities are calculated. The total number of moles is equal to summation of individual number of moles plus summation over the extent of reaction. That is the number of moles converted reactants converted and products produced. So after putting all this value, finally the yi, that is mole fraction of species I, will be represented by this equation. That is again this is individual mole divided by total mole. So individual mole Ni0 total mole is N0. At a time t is equal to 0, then the number of moles appear after the progress of the reaction. So this equation is same, but only instead of I, it will be I and J. So this will be cleared with respect to this reaction. Now consider this reaction. If you have a notes or pen and paper, you can start working on it. So let us consider these two reactions are happening simultaneously. So this is again steam reforming of natural gas for the production of hydrogen. You know, as explained last class, hydrogen is a very important industrial chemical. It is a raw material for many chemicals and petrochemicals. It is a very essential component in the production of ammonia. And for the production of ammonia, normally we get hydrogen from natural gas. So natural gas, that is methane, react with the steam. It produces carbon monoxide and hydrogen. In another reaction, this is known as water gas shift reaction. The methane plus steam also can produce carbon dioxide plus hydrogen. So these two reactions are occurring simultaneously. Now let us express the mole fraction of each component in terms of the extent of reaction. So you can make a matrix. Please make a matrix. So I is the species. First you write what are the species involved in this reaction. If you see, the species are methane, water, carbon monoxide, hydrogen, and carbon dioxide. Okay, only 5 species are there. So methane, water, carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, and hydrogen. Only 5 species are there. And write J. J means a reaction. So there are a total 2 number of reaction. Reaction 1 and reaction 2. Here we are writing reaction 1 and reaction 2. So with respect to first reaction, what is the stoichiometric number of all these species? You see the first reaction, the stoichiometric number here is -1 because it is a reactant. Reactant should be minus. Here also -1. Here it is +1. Here it is +3 because these are the products. So -1, -1, +1 and +3. There is no CO2. There is no CO2 in the first reaction. In the first reaction, there is no CO2. So it is 0. That's why it is 0. Similarly, this is the second reaction. In second reaction, the stoichiometric coefficient of methane, water, carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, and hydrogen, you can see from here. It is -1 here. Here it is -2. Here it is +1. Then here it is +4. So it is written -1, -2, +1, +4. And there is no carbon monoxide. In the second reaction, there is no carbon monoxide. So it is 0. So you are writing in the row all the species, J in the column, and in the column all the stoichiometric coefficient, and you can add summation of, that is new J means summation of individual J, that is 3 3 plus 1 minus 1 minus 1. So 3 plus 1 is 4, minus 2 is 2. So this is here also it is 2. So this is the total stoichiometry number with respect to Jth reaction. Here also you just add all these things. 4 plus 1, 5. minus 3. 5 minus 3 is 2. So here also 2. So now you got the value of new j, then you got the value of new I, new ij, and all the values, and you can put in this equation, to frame the mole fraction of each species. So write down all are available. So after simplification, you will get the expression. So this is the expression of mole fraction for methane, then mole fraction for carbon monoxide, mole fraction for water, mole fraction for carbon dioxide, mole fraction for hydrogen. And here also there are two independent variables. One is extent of reaction with respect to reaction 1 and extent of reaction with respect to reaction 2. So you will get E1 and E2. This 1 and 2 are reaction numbers. Since you have two reactions here, you have 1 and 2. Suppose if you have 3 reactions, then it will be 1, 2, 3. 4 reaction, 1, 2, 3, 4, like this. So practice this example 1 or 2 times. You will clear about this. Okay. So is it clear? Now let us see the second topic. Application of equilibrium criteria to chemical reactions. So criteria means a condition. At what condition the chemical equilibrium happen, or how we express mathematically the condition of equilibrium, and from this condition of equilibrium we will relate that to equilibrium constant. Then after that, equilibrium conversion. So far we have learned about the reaction coordinate, mole fraction, how the reaction coordinate or extent of reaction relating to mole fraction for single reaction and for multiple reaction you have understood. Now let us see the criteria of chemical equilibrium in terms of Gibbs energy. So you know that if a reaction can proceed, if the Gibbs energy is minimum, or if the Gibbs energy decrease, then only a reaction can proceed. That means when a reaction proceed, the Gibbs energy will decrease. That is the things. You know how we can calculate the Gibbs energy of a reaction. The Gibbs energy of a reaction is the Gibbs energy of products minus Gibbs energy of reactants. Then Gibbs energy of product and Gibbs energy of reactant can be calculated from standard Gibbs energy of formation. Okay, that we will discuss in the later. There is an example also. You might have studied this calculation, standard Gibbs energy of formation, Gibbs energy of reaction, or heat of formation and heat of reaction in your subject, that material and energy balance subject or process calculation subject. But still we can have one example here. We will calculate the standard Gibbs energy of reaction and standard heat of reaction in one example. But let us understand that whenever there is a reaction proceeds, Gibbs energy will decrease. Now this Gibbs energy will decrease up to a limit. Okay, when the reaction will stop. That means the forward reaction will stop and the reverse reaction will start. So that point is known as equilibrium conditions. You know, at equilibrium conditions, the rate of forward reaction is equal to rate of reverse reaction. Hence, there is no net reaction. So we can say equilibrium point is the final point. After that, actually, there is no net reaction. So that means the G is 0. Differentiation of G is 0. If G is minimum, then dG at constant temperature and pressure is 0. So this is illustrated in this figure. You see, now the reaction started here. This is the reaction coordinate, x-axis, or it is the progress of the reaction. The progress of the reaction, here it is 0 or 0%, here it is 100% or 1, 0 to 1, or in percent it is 0 to 100%. It is progress of reaction is epsilon, and the total Gibbs energy in y-axis. If we take, what happens when the reaction proceeds, the Gibbs energy will decrease and it will reach a minimum, and here the backward reaction will start. Backward, if you come from backward, here it is the backward reaction, here it is the forward reaction, and here this is the minimum of Gibbs energy. And since G is minimum, dG, differentiation of this, should be 0 at constant temperature and pressure. So that is the criteria of chemical equilibrium. So you can write criteria of chemical equilibrium is G is minimum, or dG is 0 at constant T and P. And this is the criteria of chemical equilibrium in terms of Gibbs energy. The total Gibbs energy GT is minimum and its differential is 0. Now with this criteria, we will develop one expressions how to relate this G with our extent of reaction. So G has to be related to chemical potential. Then chemical potential we can relate to fugacity and activity, fugacity coefficient and activity coefficient, and they will in turn relate to our extent of reaction and mole number. So this next section is the standard Gibbs energy and the equilibrium constant. So we have studied in our solution thermodynamics, that is G is equal to VdP minus SdT. From that it comes D of Ng. Ng means this is the number of moles into Gibbs energy, that is the total Gibbs energy, is equal to VdP minus SdT plus summation of mu I dNi. I the species, mu I is the chemical potential of ith species, and dNi is the mole fraction, change in mole fraction of ith species. So at constant temperature and pressure, this will vanish. This will be 0 at constant pressure and temperature. So we will have dNg is equal to summation of I mu I dNi. Now this dNi mole fraction we will replace with this equation. dNi we will replace with this equation. Ni, nu I and epsilon I for single reaction and for multiple reaction where it is applicable. Now let us express this Ni with nu I and d epsilon. Okay. Then after developing this equation at constant temperature and pressure, finally, because the other terms will be 0 at constant temperature and pressure, so this also has to be 0. That is summation of I, nu I, mu I should be 0 at constant temperature and pressure. Now we can relate this mu I, that is chemical potential, with fugacity. With fugacity we can relate. Now mu I is equal to this is capital gamma I plus RT ln Fi. Okay, fugacity we represent with a phi, not gamma. Gamma is the activity, fugacity is phi. So this is capital Phi plus RT ln Fi. So after replacing this mu I with Gi and replacing the standard state, you know what is standard state? All gases at 1 bar pressure and 25 degrees centigrade is assumed as a standard state. Similarly, the standard state for gases and liquid are there. Then we can incorporate another equation in the standard state fugacity, which is Fi0. So manipulating these equations, we will get this ln, this is multiplication of Fi to Fi0 to the power nu I is equal to this right hand side will comes. So this is some mathematical arrangement. You can, if you practice, you can get it. But finally equation is in terms of fugacity, it will be okay. So we have just 10 minutes of time. We will finish within this 10 minutes today. So this is the equilibrium constant in terms of fugacity. Then we will simplify this equation. Then we know that delta G is equal to minus RT ln K, or ln K is equal to minus delta G by RT. And by putting this value, we will have a relation between delta G and equilibrium constant. So there is, I think, despite its dependence on temperature, K is called the equilibrium constant for the reaction, delta G is called the standard Gibbs energy change of the reactions. Okay, so there are some explanation, more about explanation, but we can finally come to this equation, that is the relation between delta H and delta G, delta H and delta G. From that, we can derive the relation between temperature and delta G or equilibrium constant K. So come to this next topic, effect of temperature on the equilibrium constant. So this equation you can simply remember, or this is the better equation. This is known as Van 't Hoff equation. It comes from this relation. D ln K by dt is equal to delta H0 by RT square. Again, this form of equation is very important. It is known as Van 't Hoff equation in chemical reaction equilibria. If you remember your Clausius-Clapeyron equation also, it will be like this. If you remember your Arrhenius equation also, it will be like this. So this equation, as this form is very, very important. Many phenomena it is applicable. So just you can have the Van 't Hoff equation, d ln k by dt is equal to delta h naught by RT square. This is the relation between equilibrium constant and temperature. If we integrate it, just to separate the variable, take dt this side and integrate. D ln k you will get ln k, and here this side, this is constant, delta h naught by r is constant, 1 by t square, integral you will get 1 by t plus some constant. So the integration of this equation will give y is equal to mx plus c type of relation between ln k versus 1 by t. And for a reaction, if we plot, we will get straight line. You got there are some plots of so many reactions, ln k in y-axis and 1 by t into 10 to the power 4. This is k inverse because it is 1 by t, reciprocal of the temperature in x-axis. So they gives straight lines. So this is the relation between equilibrium constant and temperature. If we consider two different points, K1 and K2, and if we rearrange, then we will get the relation ln k by k dash is equal to minus delta h naught by r 1 by t minus 1 by t dash. This is the important equation you have to remember, because it requires you can apply this equation to solve some problems. Okay. So up to this is okay. Then next, there are some relations given with respect to Cp. We know delta H, heat of reaction, should be a function of Cp, and Cp can be expressed in terms of constants, that is Cp is equal to A plus Bt plus Ct square plus dt, something like that. So in those cases, these are required. Okay. So next class, maybe tomorrow, we will see evolution of equilibrium constants. So if you can speak, any of you, please speak now. Okay.
Yes, sir.
If you want to speak, please speak.